Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the False Nine. Try and say that 3 times fast. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that jazz. Welcome to 2022 and welcome to the kickstart of the podcast once again. A month away because of, let's be real, we have 17 hours of difference between these times. It's a pain in the butt, but we're back and we're better than ever, boys. How are we?
Good.
Yeah, doing all right. Like I said, time zones are killer, but hey, we're here. We did it.
Yeah, we managed to get 3. So
I don't know how we've managed to do it, but we've done it. We're kicking 2022 off with a bang. A shorter episode, more so than usual, but you know what? I'm okay with that because I reckon we're going to make up for it with plenty of content throughout the year. Jono's soccer pieces, Tyler's soccer pieces. Mate, we're going to be flooding the Athletes Hub, so you know where to find us. On YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at the Athletes Hub. Just, it's going to be pumped out this year. Tyler and I are going to cry about Manchester United for the next 12 months, but it's fine. Everything is fine. And you know what? We'll kick off straight into it. Our league predictions for 2022. La Liga, Serie A, EPL. I'd say Bundesliga too, but we all agree it's probably going to be Bayern Munich.
I think we can say Bayern in Germany, and even though it was great last season in Ligue 1, I think no one's going to catch PSG this year. It's
not even close.
Ridiculous now. It's been the Empire Strikes Back in France, so we don't need to go there.
Very much so. And we'll start off with La Liga because you could almost say the same for Real Madrid. The disappearance of Messi means Barcelona's struggling a little bit. They're there or thereabouts, but they're not really in contention. And You'd have to argue that Real Madrid are back to the team of old, that mid-2000s team that just sort of dominated.
Yeah, they're top at the minute. I don't think they're quite ready in Europe. I think the Champions League's beyond them, but at home, Atleti, they're having a poor season. It looks like they're going to move a few players on, so they're trying to reboot. The only team I can really see stopping Real Madrid, which is a bit of a surprise one, is Sevilla, who I think they're 5 points behind with a game in hand, and they're being linked with some interesting players in January. So I think if you would say Real Madrid are favourites, but I think Sevilla getting knocked out of the Champions League was probably a good thing for them. They can probably go for one competition, and I think they can make this interesting still.
What do you reckon, Tyler?
I just don't know if Sevilla has enough star power to win the league. In the last, 15 years, we've seen one other title winner other than Barcelona or Real Madrid. It's just, I don't know. It's going to be Real Madrid. It's a little obvious, but it'll be Real Madrid. It'll probably be Barcelona in second or third by the end of it. But it'd be interesting to see Sevilla make it fun. But La Liga hasn't been quite the most – it's been entertaining because of the really good teams. And I don't know if the not as high profile teams are quite up there yet in La Liga at least.
You look at it, third place is what? Real Betis?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag this year. I think with Barcelona, 4th place this year, success. They're in a transition, we know that. And I think getting Ferran Torres in this window already is, I don't know where they got the money for that from, considering they're being in debt, but they managed to find 60 million hidden under the sofa. I think they're going in the right direction with Xavi, but just getting to stay in the Champions League for next season and go again then. I think that's all Barca can do now.
Well, they have Torres, but they haven't registered him yet because they don't have that money yet. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, we're going to see who they manage to offload in the next few weeks because there are some desperate clubs out there. And, there's a lot of players who just aren't worth it at Barcelona at the minute. That they're partway through their clear out, but the demolition phase has got a bit of time to go yet.
Yeah, well, they're looking to send Coutinho off on loan to the EPL. I've heard Aston Villa and Everton are the 2 most likely, if you'd believe it. So, we'll go to the EPL. Coutinho to Everton could make it interesting if Everton want to push for that top 6. But I mean, realistically, Man City all the way. That hurts me to say that, but
Yeah.
Man City all the way.
I said City back at the start of the season, and absolutely nothing that has happened has changed my mind on that. The other thing now is that they don't have many difficult away games left. They've been to Anfield, drew, one at Stamford Bridge, one at Arsenal, one at Old Trafford, of course, very easily. And they've played, and they've been to Tottenham, although they lost, that was on the opening day. So they don't have an away match against the top 6 team. And I think I've not seen this probably since late 90s Manchester United, where half the league you just feel, even the fans, never mind the players, are just thinking, well, we only have to play this lot twice a year, so get it over and done with and on to the next game, and it's barely worth turning up. And I think there's still teams that can make this a race of it still. I think it's only 2 weeks ago people were saying the best title race ever, and now it's like, oh, well, City have definitely won it. So it could change. There could be turns, but it's going to be City. It's just by how much.
Yeah, I agree with Jonathan here because, I mean, I was taking a look at the table the other day because, like you said, the race was close, but City's already 10 points clear, and with a team run by Pep and the depth they have, and they're still, and even with all the depth they have, they're still not even like having a proper number 9 striker, and they're linked with like Harry Kane, Erling Haaland. Like, if they added anybody like that, it'd be utter domination for Europe. It wouldn't just be a domination for England at that point. Like, Man City has such an elite roster that if they were to drop that many points by the end of the season, it would be shambolic. So what's really going to be the competition this year is who gets top 4. That's kind of what we're looking at. I mean, Arsenal, who's hasn't been up there in the last 4 or 5 years, is finally kind of coming back. West Ham's having a really great season. I think the top 3 are pretty set in stone with Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. But the 4th spot is what's really going to be in contention. I'm hoping Man United, but with the way the season's going, the way the season's going, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, they've got enough to stay up, Man United. Not much more than that right now. I mean, I personally think it'll be Tottenham 4th.
I think so too.
Conte, he just brings so much to the table, and they will, having got him, they want to keep him, and that means buy when he tells you, and so they will come out of this window, I expect, quite a bit better. And look, Kane and Son have not been at their best, but they'll get there, and you would just back a team with those 2 players and that manager. I mean, whether or not they win a trophy, which is what they really want, I'm not so sure, but especially after last night. But I think they will nick 4th place, and I don't think there's much in it, and I think the gap between 3rd and 4th is going to be huge. I think Liverpool I think in the Cups and in Europe, they're probably the favourites, because I think their first 11 is better than anybody's, including City, when everyone's there. But as Tyler was saying, the Premier League rewards depth and being able to replace players week in, week out, and City just can do that so easily. I mean, the one thing that they would say they have depth is if 2 or 3 key players went down injured, that could derail City. If it was Ederson, if it was Diaz, and even De Bruyne, I think it doesn't matter how much depth you've got, there are always those couple of players who are vital to your team, and if they go, you're going to struggle. But we're clutching at straws, saying it's not going to be City.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you look at it, that Chelsea have drawn 4 of their last 5. That's essentially the 10-point difference right there. Liverpool do have a game in hand, but they've dropped 2, 4, 7 points in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Again, that's your gap.
One thing I would say with Chelsea, I mean, I know there's a lot of angst about them at the minute, and their fans are getting upset. They just got to think where they were 13 months ago. They were nowhere, and they're champions of Europe now. They've been to a FA Cup final as well. They're at least getting closer to City and Liverpool, and may well finish second. They were really good, I thought, against Liverpool at the weekend. It's a year of progress, and I know that doesn't always cut it with Chelsea, but that's how they have to look at this.
Yeah. very much so. Last thing on the EPL, a couple of Aussie journos are talking about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on a long-term deal, a loan deal from Arsenal to the Australian A-League with either Sydney FC or the Manchester City-backed Melbourne City FC being the two potential suitors. Conveniently, they also 1 and 2 on the ladder at the moment. I'll just let that one fester around for a second.
Yeah, Aubameyang's been linked with a lot of clubs, especially over here. He's one of just about every player who's upset with his team at the minute is being linked to Newcastle, and I'm sure they'll bid. And yeah, I could go to Newcastle or I could go to Sydney. That's.
I know where I'm going.
A couple of years in Sydney has been.
Why is it always Arsenal players?
I've been to both, and I know where I'd rather go. Yeah.
It's always Arsenal players that have the problems with their club, isn't it? Ozil was last one. Now you've got Aubameyang. I mean, they don't know how to take care of their stars there.
Well, it seems to be when and it's usually in January this happens, they always have someone who's coming to the end of their contract and they panic and give them a ton of money, and then 6 months later it's, oh, why did we do that? And that player doesn't look very motivated anymore and goes missing when we're in trouble. And yeah, they've got Lacazette, who's coming to the end of his contracts and can negotiate with other teams this month already. So, yeah, it's, I mean, I think Arteta's doing a good job, but behind the scenes at Arsenal, you still feel it's not quite right. It's still, Stan asleep at the wheel, and yeah, they just get themselves into this every year. It's extraordinary.
It's without fail. Syria, potentially the first year in quite a while that Juve, we can almost safely say, is not going to be in the title race at the end.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit like Barcelona. That they're just, there's a lot of young players there. They're switching things around. Allegri's gone back there, so this year was a free hit. If the fact they're doing okay in the Champions League is probably. Yeah, other than that, it's wait till next season for them.
Yeah, to be fair, they've won 4 of their last 5, second best in the comp at the moment, only to current competition leaders Inter Milan, who have managed to grab that lead. Granted, they have a much superior goal difference over AC Milan in second, 4 points away. Another game to Napoli, Atalanta in 4th, 8 points off the pace. Juve in 5th. I mean, honestly, I've got AC Milan pegged here. I think they come back at the end. They take out the Milan derby, and I honestly think they steal it. It's just a question of whether Inter Milan can trip up with 1 or 2 mid-table away games. Lazio maybe would probably be the game that I'd look at. The other one maybe Roma.
Yeah, Mourinho somehow, against Inter, that could be fun. I think with Inter, getting through the Champions League was a big thing because they failed in that in recent years. And I think if they can have a run in Europe, that means they could drop off in the league. But I'm really surprised they've been as good as they have, because they lost Lukaku, they lost Hakimi, and they took Edin Dzeko as a sticking plaster solution, but it's worked. And they've been in there and done it. So, yeah, I think it will come down to the Milan derby. And I'm still hedging towards Inter, actually. But I think that's the one that's going to be close this season. I think the other 4 big leagues, I suspect, get done with a few games to spare. Last year it was France and Spain were fun. This year it looks like it's going to be Italy.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to be leaning towards Inter, just because I feel like AC Milan is just one step away from kind of being back to like how dominant they could be. I feel like they've been knocking at the door of getting qualifying for Champions League will be a huge deal for them. So just finishing in the top 3, I think, is in Serie A, right?
It's 4, but this year's the first year they've been in it in 8 years, which is incredible. They're the second most behind Real Madrid. They are the second most successful team ever in this competition.
It's ridiculous how much they had fallen off and still kept that, that history. But I do think Inter will find a way. And like I said, the Milan Derby will be a huge game. It'll be exciting. And the winner of that game probably will swing the outcome of the league.
Yeah, tend to agree with you on that. From leagues to the World Cup, I feel like we've been talking about controversy with the 2022 World Cup for decades, never mind a couple of years.
Yeah.
But our World Cup predictions. Prediction number 1 for me, the US don't win it. But I mean,
hey.
Prediction number 2, Australia doesn't win it.
Do they get there, Australia?
Australia are there. They'll get there. They're going to get there. I have faith. Not much faith, but I have faith. Look, we're in Qatar. It's hot. It's humid. It leans towards the South American sides who've kind of played and built around hot, humid conditions. I don't want to say Brazil because I feel like they might choke that final hurdle, but I'm going to say Brazil win it, and you're going to have a final that's something like a Brazil-Spain.
Okay. I've got 3 that I think could win it. I think there's a lot more that could get to the final. You should remember Croatia made the final last time. Brazil being 1. The problem there is, will Neymar really have that big tournament where he really lights it up? Or is it just going to be kind of like his whole career so far that's just been here and there and never quite been that top player? The other one's France, even though defending champions have an appalling record in this competition. Just because there's so much depth, I assume Benzema's coming back. Mbappe has now had his bad tournament at the Euros, so he'll be back. And yeah, they definitely don't go out in the group like the other champions, but it is going to be hard to retain it. And I know I'm biased, and I never thought I would say this, but
here we go.
This could be England's year. I never thought I could say that and keep a straight face, but yeah, something changed with England. Getting to a final, and it was funny, the mentality over here when England got to the Euro final last year. It changed something, because it's not happened in my lifetime. And even though they didn't quite win it, they lose on penalties. It almost didn't matter, because it's the first final for so many. Anybody who's not drawing a pension, it's the first time they've seen them in a final, and that. I always look at the end of a tournament what you've got to look forward to. And you looked at Italy, who deserved to win the Euros. But you've got Chiellini, you've got Bonucci, you've got Insigne, and all these players over 30. And you think that was probably the one chance. And now that they've won it, I don't think they can do it again. And a lot of the other big teams like Belgium, they're getting older. Holland, I don't think, are quite ready. England, you look at, they got to the final, and then you add into that Jude Bellingham, plays like Smith Rowe coming through, Mason Greenwood if you can find form. You've got Ramsdale coming through for Arsenal, now might be the number 1 goalkeeper, Ben White. And they are the one that, looking honestly at all of them, they're the one who've got the biggest improvement they can make between now and then. It's still going to be with England, when they come up against Brazil or Argentina or Spain in a knockout, can they get over the mental hurdle? They did it against Germany. That was big. Can they do it again? That's the one thing that gives me doubt with England, because I think unless with all these teams, we can say if they get major injuries because it's going to be mid-season, then that's it. But yeah, I think one of those 3. I think everyone else I see reasons it won't happen with everybody else.
Go on, Tyler. Tell us why the Yanks will do it. Oh wait.
Well, if you want me to go there, I can. I've got a whole spiel planned. But no, okay. No, you guys nailed it on 2 of the 3 that I agree with. Brazil and France for sure. Those 2 will be in it. I think Brazil has a lot of star power, and like you said, the conditions are they're set up perfectly for Brazil. But last time that I predicted Brazil to win the World Cup, they lost 7-1 to Germany in the semifinals in 2014.
Yeah.
So I'm always hesitant to go with Brazil after that. And due to that, it always left me with a little bit of a favorable spot for Germany in terms of how I view them. And I think Germany is, again, another team that shouldn't go completely under the radar this year in the World Cup. They're a team that's always well coached. They're always a group of players that are physical. They'll be able to handle the conditions, and they'll be able to compete throughout the group stage and throughout the knockout phases. So it won't surprise me if they're there by the semifinals or the finals. Those would be my three: Brazil, France, or Germany. If I had to lean towards one, although we don't really see repeat winners, I'm going to go with France. Their depth is just too good. Mbappe is too good. I don't know if there's anybody top to bottom that can quite compete with France right now.
Fair. Oh, look, if we're throwing three out there, I've said Brazil, I've said Spain. It's hard not to go with France, but you know what? I'm siding with Jono here. England are due something. They're due something. They're not getting the Ashes this year.
They can win it. They can win it.
No, they can't win squat diddly in the cricket. But if there is a team that's going to cause an upset, it will be England. My only concern is how well conditioned they'll be.
Yeah, that should actually work there in their favour this time, because the mid-season element of this is something that's new, and the Premier League in particular is so grueling. That's always been a problem with English and other nationalities that play there. So that might actually work in their favour too. The other team I suppose we should mention here is Argentina. Obviously won the Copa America. Messi last go at a major tournament. Maybe he retires straight after it, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me. Can he do it for 4 weeks, play 7 times in 28 days? I mean, at that point in his career, I'm not sure.
With no Aguero.
Yeah. And obviously no Aguero, but Rodrigo de Paul coming into that team has been a really big thing. They've got some good young players like Martinez in goal. So I expect better, because they were a shambles in Russia, quite honestly. And we all saw them have a minute's silence after the Croatia game, and they'll be better, but I think not quite. But they're a contender. They're one of those in the mix.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'll give a couple of out there predictions. Australia get out of the group stage. We're absolute dog crap, but for whatever reason, we show up in the World Cup. We take it to them. We saw in Brazil. I think while we didn't get out of the group stage, I think it was 3-2 against the Dutch.
They were competitive, yeah.
We're always there or thereabouts. If we get a half okay group, and we've had the group of death for the last 3 in a row, we're in with a shout. And I think if Italy qualify, they'll get out as well. Because everyone's now seeing them as, it's Italy. That's fine. They're there. But if they get there, they'll get through the group of 16, the round of 16, maybe the final 8. But you know what? We're all about wild predictions here at the Athletes Hub. We've got a 2022 predictions piece coming out next week that'll have a couple of these in there. Jono, I'll start off with you. 60 seconds, your wildest prediction of the 2022 football year.
Someone else actually said this the other day on a podcast. So I'm annoyed because I've been thinking this for weeks, but I'm going to say Wayne Rooney to be Everton manager by August.
Ooh, spicy. They are down the bottom, down the wrong end of the table.
They're not happy with Rafa, and I think every time a club appoints a new manager, he tends to be the antithesis of the previous one. So go for an old, unpopular manager, a young, very popular manager at Everton. And he's doing well at Derby in just ridiculously bad conditions. So I think he'll be there.
Okay, Tyler.
Speaking of World Cup predictions, for the first time since I believe 2004, the USA will make it to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. This is the best squad that I've personally seen from the USA since I've been alive. We nearly qualified for the round of 16 the last time we were in the World Cup. Barely missed it from a Wondolowski missed kick. I think that there's something about the USA squad this time around. They're young, they're hungry. I like their coach. I like the way they've been playing. I don't think they'll light the scoreboards up. I don't think they'll set the world ablaze, but I think they'll get the right results, and I think they'll get a shock result in the round of 16.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they're one of quite a number where it's really what does the draw throw up, because they're not going to get seeded, and yeah, you're going to get a seed plus a European team and then possibly a South American unseeded team as well. So someone's going to get an awful draw, and I think the US are one of those. If they can avoid that, they could go some distance in the tournament.
It'll be like Socceroos of 06. I think, who do we have? Japan, the Czech Republic, and Serbia, I want to say.
Well, I think it was Croatia, I think.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the game where with the 3 yellow cards for the same player?
Yeah, it was. Australia wasn't expected to get out of the group stage. It had scored, I think, 1 goal previously, hadn't taken a point, got second in the group stage, and if it wasn't for the diving, cheating old mate, the Italian legend, we might have gone a bit further under Gus Hiddink. Let's see, a wild prediction for 2022. Manchester United will be on top of the table come Christmas. Yes, Jono.
Yes, sir.
Look, I have faith. We've got Mason Greenwood coming through. I think if he can find a little bit of form, he'll carry it into the World Cup. It's a shortened start to the season because the EPL will take a break for the World Cup. United have enough depth to cause issues. They don't have enough depth to rival that of City or Liverpool. But it only takes 1 or 2 games to turn the tide of a season. I mean, they actually have a coach who can coach now and is not just a 3-year ring in. I see no reason as to why they can't, but they do need to get someone in the summer who can play an out-and-out 9. It can't.
I agree with that.
Ronaldo.
I agree with that, but they also need number 6.
And
what, you don't like Fred?
You mean Nick Fred?
Touche. All right. Predictions done. Hold us to it. We'll see you in 12 months' time to run through it. But we promise it's not going to be the next episode. Next episode next week, same time, same place. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, The Athletes Hub. Let's see if I can get that right. That's Jono. He's Tyler. I am Luke. We will catch you guys next week.
Okay.